retirement remarks. I have to tell you, I've been looking forward to this gathering until it struck me that it's for me. So that was a little disconcerting. But I do want to thank you for your presence here and to say a special thank you to you, all of you who worked so hard to put the event together. It really means the world to me. I'm often asked, I am going to be a little long-winded, I have to say. Okay. I'm often asked how I got into student affairs and why I stayed for more than 3 decades. And I think this is as good a time as any to answer that question and to clear up some misconceptions. First, it is not true that I got into student affairs because I wanted to be able to speak acronyms as a second language. Although I do take pride in the fact that I am now fluent. Nor is it because I enjoy the challenge of trying to explain to non-acronym speakers what it is I do for a living. Or trying to persuade others that while student affairs does have a lot to do with student behavior, it is not usually the type of behavior that one associates with the term affairs. The truth is that I stumbled into student affairs, much as those who know me well, I have stumbled into any number of things in my life. Never suspecting that I was destined to become a true Bruin lifer, I graduated from UCLA in 1972, a long time ago, wow, with a BA in psychology. And eager to expand my horizons and to explore the world, I began my stint living in New York City and working for an airline, which allowed me to achieve that dream and whetted my appetite for travel. But 18 months into my airline career, I was responding to a vague inner voice telling me that at the ripe old age of 23, I wasn't getting any younger, and I needed to put myself directly on the path to a life of service. So, I returned to California to attend nursing school. No time here for why that decision was made. But suffice it to say that a year into my studies, it became clear, and my family and friends also know that this is true, lacking absolutely any sense of direction, I had chosen the wrong path. Thus, it was one day after receiving the Florence Nightingale Award for my promise as a future nurse. Remember that, Mom? Okay. I withdrew and headed straight to the UCLA School of Public Health to apply for the MPH program. Although I refer to this as my floundering period, as I have said to many an anxious student concerned about finding his or her career path, discovering one's true path is sometimes necessarily a messy process and requires a good amount of self-compassion. In public health, I discovered a perfect alignment with my desire to be verbose, to promote human thriving, thankfully absent the need to extract bodily fluids or to poke people with sharp objects. And for me, the deep appeal of public health remains its breadth of perspectives and its consideration of the multiple entwined factors that influence human well-being, and all rooted in social justice values. I completed the MPH in believing that I was again bidding my final farewell to UCLA I accepted a job as a health educator at a local hospital, only to receive a call 6 months later asking me to interview for a job in the family medicine residency program. I got the job. I spent 3.5 years developing and teaching the patient education curriculum. And at the end of the grant, with funding for the job ending, I found myself with toes jutting uncomfortably over the precipice of unemployment. And yes, once again, UCLA came calling with news of an opening for a director of health education in the Student Health Center. Convinced that this was not the epicenter of social justice work, I reluctantly applied for the job. My suspicions were reinforced when posed the question by a student interviewer, "What do you, Pam, think is the most significant problem confronting students?" And I pretty confidently replied, "Stress," and elaborated. To which he responded bluntly, "No, Pam, it is colds." So, with pragmatic concerns weighing heavily in my decision, I accepted the job offer, and thus began what I would unexpectedly discover was my own enduring love affair with student affairs. Many years have passed, and in the remaining hour of this gathering, I want to recount the highlights of each and every one of them. I'm going to fast forward here, but not too fast. By saying that during these years, entranced by students and really wanting to know more about how to support them, I completed a PhD in education at, you guessed it, UCLA. And here, I earned the dubious distinction of coming within a hair of setting the departmental record for slowest progress to degree completion. And as I tell students, I learned that if a goal is important, don't allow yourself to become discouraged by how remote the finish line is. Just focus on putting one foot in front of the other and keep on going. The most important thing is to have a reason to keep going. And for me, that reason was my daughter, Allison, whose question still rings in my ear. "Mom, do you promise you're going to finish school?" My answer was always, sometimes tentative, "Yes, I promise." She'd sacrificed too much for me not to finish. So, that is the story of how I landed in student affairs, now for why I stayed. I promise this is going to be quicker. The one-word answer is students. I have many, many to thank for my wonderful career at UCLA, but none more important than students. To students past and present, I hope and trust that you learned something from me. I most assuredly learned something invaluable from you. I started these remarks by talking about my desire to explore the world. Much of that desire was fueled by my interest in people, in understanding their experiences, perspectives, their struggles, yearnings, and dreams. What I found at UCLA was that students brought the world to me, giving me the profound honor and privilege of glimpsing the world through their eyes. And I want to speak directly to students now. You allowed and trusted me to accompany you on your travels to the interior reaches of your minds and your emotions, and on the highways and byways of your journeys to self-understanding, to understanding and appreciation of others, and to understanding of and belief in your own talents and how to use them in a world that so desperately needs your talents. You entrusted me with your stories, narratives that took me to places I'd never been, and in many cases never imagined. Sometimes your stories were funny and we laughed together. And sometimes your stories were sad and we cried together. Always, your stories were a gift to me that allowed me to unwrap myself in ways that enhanced my capacity to be authentically myself. And I hope enabled you to trust that it is enough. It really is more than enough to be your authentic selves. It's been an incredible journey, and one that would not have occurred without the support of so many, especially you in this room. The risk of overlooking someone, I do want to say some specific thank yous to those with whom I've worked so closely in recent years. My colleagues in the Bruin Resource Center, CSIRO, OSD, the LGBT Center, and the Executive Management Group of Student Affairs. Thank you for the quality of your work and the quality of your caring. I will forever be inspired by your investment in students, forever grateful for your nimbleness, flexibility, and spirit of adventure as we rode the roller coaster of change that has characterized our time together. To my friends, some of whom date back to my own first and very formative days in college, thank you for your patience, for your support, and for putting up for years with my lack of availability. To Yanina Montero, thank you for giving me the most meaningful and rewarding opportunity of my career. I'm very proud of the work that we've done together and grateful beyond words for your mentorship, your confidence, and your support. To my family, my mother, my father no longer with us, my siblings, their partners, my nieces, my nephews, thank you for your love and support. And to my daughter, my wonderful Allison, who means the world to me. Thank you for reminding me every single day that there is nothing in the world more important than love. Thank you to all of you. You are imprinted on my heart forever. I'm done.
We have a gift for you. Pam is a big fan of the Fowler Museum, which is the reason that we had the event here today. So we found something for you at the Fowler